Hello and welcome. This is Tanya Brown, your spiritual business coach, and I want to talk to you today about your psychic gifts or your spiritual gifts. We all have them. It's just about identifying them and accepting them and building upon it. And what I mean by that is a lot of times we just dismiss it as, that's what I was getting. A good percentage of the time, I would say about 5 to 10% of the information that I give my clients is things they already knew, but they didn't trust. Because basically, a lot of us don't trust our instincts, don't trust our gut, don't trust the knowing. We, as humans, need somebody outside of ourselves to validate what we're feeling. So, this is where this conversation comes in. I'm going to share with you certain ways in which I've discovered my gift or I felt and accepted my gift. And you can use that for context and relevance to see how this relates to you. So, growing up, it was very normal for me to know things that I couldn't possibly know. It was just considered to be random or coincidence. So, and my friends and family just kind of validated and also accepted and normalized it. So if the phone rang and I was saying that's Aunt so and so, they're like, look at her, she got it again. So that goes with the knowing. It was never the voice in my head. It was just, I just intuitively knew. I remember once at a job, they were doing a random raffle. And, the department head was just joking about, oh, we'll see who's going to win. We'll see who's going to win. And I was like, they were like, who do you think it is? I'm like, I did. And he was like, oh, no, seriously, who do you think won? I'm like, I did. And it wasn't me being cocky. I knew I won. Like I had a extreme hit. And by that I mean a sense of knowing that I won. And when it was over, he was like, well, how did you know? And I wouldn't say I couldn't say it because I'm psychic. I was just like, oh, I just knew, you know. Same thing, like I would have a client who was talking to me about whatever it was. And I said, well, that makes sense because you're an engineer. And he was like, well, how do you know that? I've never mentioned that. I knew because they were giving me the fact that he was an engineer. It wasn't even a voice. It was just a knowing. So a lot of you may have this knowing, but not have any tangible idea of where this is coming from. And again, that's one of the ways. There is the seeing, the clairvoyance. Do you get images in your head of things that will come to pass or things that are relevant in the context of what's happening? Good case in point. I was in Bath, Bath, England, years ago, and it was beautiful. I don't know if you're familiar with the area. It's gorgeous. It harks back to the Roman time when the Romans were in not in charge, but they had a dominance in the area, and they built certain structures that resembled their Roman ideals and architecture. And the baths were almost like the Hamptons of their day. It was the resort area, and they had the idea of the fountain of youth, which sounds amazing. But in any event, I'm at the bath in London, and they had these beautiful columns. And I remember just touching one of the columns, even though you probably shouldn't. And the minute I did, I got a hit. I got a visual of information from a spirit showing me her life and this amazingly beautiful ceramics. And I remember thinking to myself, I would love to have taken a photo inside my head of this stuff. It was just insane. And I remember connecting with her and saying, thinking, well, is she who she says she is? And I even said that to her. I'm like, are you who you say you are? Let me know what my friend's mother's first name is. And here's the thing about spirit. They give you the information the way they want to give it to you, not the way you ask for it. So when we got back on the tour bus to go back into London, my friend's going on about something, and I just blurt out, is your mother's first name, Adina? And she's kind of caught off guard, like, where did this come from? But she's like, no, my mother's sister's first name is. And then it clicked. It was like spirit gives it to you the way they want to give it to you, not the way you ask. So for them validating from me or my friend validating from me that was a name in her family, and spirit showing me this information just kind of came full circle. So again, it's like when you get information that is just, I don't want to say random, but it's not of your own. Like when I touched the column, I received information that was not coming from me. It was not ego based. It was coming from a spirit. And that's just to kind of give you an idea in terms of context. And just to share this, there's a lot of my clients who go into the next work of discovering their psychic gifts or their spiritual gifts and embracing them and bringing them, making them stronger. It's because they, at some point in time, were doing tarot card readings. A lot of people will do tarot card readings just as fun, just for experience. And they'll discover when they're doing the cards, they're not reading the cards. I did this, I was talking to a client about this the other day because she's very gifted. She's coming into her own and she's just having inability to trust what she's receiving. And I was sharing with her, like when I read tarot cards, and I did it for fun. I remembered I got hired to do it for a PR event. And at the time, I just thought it was luck or coincidence that all my predictions were on par or accurate or whatever. I just dismissed it. I just assumed that was part of my reading the cards. But in essence, when I looked back, I wasn't reading the cards because the things I said would not have been on a card. Like if you're familiar with the tarot decks, it's not really deep in terms of the information that it gives you. I mean, the symbolism just goes just so far, in terms of telling you yes, no. But I was bringing more detail into the readings that I could have received from the cards. But the point that I'm making is a lot of people who start with tarot cards have a gift, but they're using the tarot cards as a crutch to get in spiritually. Back in the day when I first started doing this, as a business, I would pull out the tarot cards. I would do incense. I would do white candles for purity, to the point that my guides were like, stop with the cards. You don't need them. But it's true. When you're getting started, using the cards can be a great tool, but at the same time, bear in mind when you're actually not reading the cards. A good percent of the time you're looking at the deck, but are you really reading what's on the cards? Are you focusing on what you're getting in your mind, or the knowing, or the visual? So it's about using these tools to embrace and open up your insight. And here's the thing, at the end of the day, what is going to help you tremendously is getting access and reading people you don't know. You don't possibly know. When I did this, this was a game changer for me because I knew I wasn't projecting any of my information on them. The stuff that I was receiving for a reason. I wasn't putting this stuff out there because I didn't know them. I love the term flying blind. I was flying blind with all my clients. There was nothing I could project because I didn't know anything. And that's the best way for you to get started. And again, tarot cards is a great way to open the door. But as you continually do this and move away from the tarot cards, your confidence when you give the information to clients and they validate and verify what you're saying is accurate is the only way for you to move forward. Now, I'll share this last story with you. Years ago, I was reading a radio show, and it was Uncle Johnny and Clarice. These aren't the names, but those are the names that I'm using as an example. And I focused on Uncle Johnny, but Clarice's name kept popping into my head. And I focused on Uncle Johnny, but Clarice's name kept popping into my head. And it was a 15-minute segment. It went on for 45 minutes. And every time I gave the information, the host was very polite, but skeptical. And he was like, yeah, none of this resonates. Okay. We come back from a commercial break, and he said, okay, have you ever done a reading for someone, but the information doesn't resonate for the person you're reading, but it resonates for the person next to them? And I said, yeah. I mean, I've been reading, focused on you, but Sharice's name keeps popping in. He goes, exactly, because everything you're saying resonates for Sharice, but not for me. And she's sitting here freaking out, like nodding her head. But my point is that you have to just trust that what you're receiving for a reason. And until your client validates the accuracy of what you're saying, you just have to go on and on, continue with it. Every validation you get gives you more confidence to keep going. But you have to be comfortable with receiving and knowing that they're giving it to you for a reason. You don't need to know what it means, just know that it's accurate, it's content that you need to share, and the message is for their greater good. So it's just about going with it and gaining confidence as you go through. And it's like a muscle, it gets stronger as you move the needle. That being said, I would love for you to like this episode. It helps my algorithm. Don't forget to share this with someone you feel that would best receive this information. And don't forget to comment in the comment section. What are your gifts? How are you discovering them? And how has this helped you to move forward? There are going to be some workshops that I'm going to be doing going forward for those of you who want to experience and discover your gifts. So in the comment section, let me know if that's you, because I am definitely going to be enjoying this and having fun getting a group of people together to show them how to explore their gifts in a comfortable, secure situation where they're amongst their peers and feel comfortable and safe. It's all about being able to be who you are amongst people who are similar to you, or accepting of who you are. So again, this is Tanya Brown, your spiritual business coach. And again, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and comment. And I will see you in the next video.